Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 199. Thank you for always... Jesus, fuck all bullshit titties.
We're off to a great start.
Thank you for joining us, as always, on this penultimate Sunday evening, Earth date February 23rd, my sister's birthday, 2020. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me, as always, my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
Who let the dogs out? Woof, 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 woof.
Chad let the dogs out. Hi, Chad.
Hi,
Chad.
I'm sorry.
Chad's also here.
Yeah,
And he's...
I let the dog out. It was bad.
Yeah, it was.
Chad's here again,
Yeah,
and we all have beards.
we do all have beards. That's weird.
In different states of bearddom.
Yeah. We've got Brandon, who looks like he just started his, even though he's been growing it for 12 weeks now.
Yeah.
And then we've got Chad, who has a nice, like, thick, manly chin strap kind of a beard. And then we've got me, who looks like I just got out of the fucking mountains.
Yeah, you do.
I just woke up and rolled off of my hay bed and fucking came in to record a podcast.
I guess it's time for a podcast.
Actually, what I think we are is just the 3 different evolution stages of a Pokemon.
Okay.
We need to come up with a name for it.
Like right now on the spot, because I don't think I can do that.
And we'll mull it over the course of the show.
Okay,
I'm
fair
sure we'll
enough.
come up with something by
We'll
closing
all
credits.
forget by that point. Except for Chad. And then he'll have a name for all 3 of them.
Yeah, with backstories.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot there.
Because he's better than us.
He really is, which is why he's back.
Yeah.
As our third guest again for the second or third week in a row.
I think we've pretty much made him the unofficial third.
Yeah.
Is what we have deemed him.
Is that purely because of how many times I've been here, or is it because I killed Bucky and took his spot?
A little bit of both. But to be fair, we didn't invite Bucky very often.
Yeah.
Not because we don't like him, but just because he tends to be busy, it seems like. And we are also really bad about like, okay, we're going to podcast this time. Can you do it? And then you're the only one who is ever like, yeah, I'll make time.
So my lack of social life is what put me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fit in perfectly with us.
Yes, because we have no life either.
No, I'll settle for it.
This motherfucker's over here making armor in his spare time, and he's just like, I'll come in and do a podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
We just had a very long discussion about armor. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Chad is a bit of an armor smith in his own right. Definitely dabbles and does a lot of research and very much enjoys the craft. So we were looking at all kinds of different, like it was Henry VIII's foot armor, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And if you haven't looked this up, if you have any inkling, like even for like D&D purposes, if you really want to get an idea of like full plate crazy ass armor, go look it up. Just incredibly mobile, but also completely like it covers the entire body. And everybody kind of remembers Henry VIII as the big fat guy who like beheaded his wives and whatnot. And yeah, he was the one who broke off from the Catholic Church too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
He couldn't get one of his marriages annulled when he wanted it, so he just kind of flipped a giant middle bird to Catholicism in general and created the Church of England.
Yeah, yeah. So
I actually have a friend who I'll be seeing at a convention shortly who is very, very knowledgeable about the lineage of the different royal families in Europe, but like also England specifically, and she will go on for hours with all of this detailed information of how all these families were interrelated, who stabbed whom in the back, like all this stuff. It's tremendously fascinating. I don't have the patience
Right.
to keep up with it.
Yeah.
And I love getting a hold of her versions where she kind of crams all this knowledge together with a heavy dash of sarcasm and some jokes. And she just does a really good job of kind of compiling a lot of that information.
Yeah.
So I'll look up her information so you can plug that if you feel like it.
Yeah, sure. You can play it. It's good. But yeah, in the meantime, while he's looking that up, go check out that foot armor because it's crazy. Like you see the knee, like they even covered the backs of the knees.
It was at the butt crack armor.
Yeah, that's also known as the butt crack armor. And there's like a little butt piece to it that just has like a little crease in between it. But I mean, the plates go up into the thighs.
Yeah.
And will stack upon each other. I mean, it's just amazing. If you go look at that armor, but look at it from an engineering point of view, if you can put yourself in that engineering headspace and just imagine that armor moving around a human body, it's insane. But yeah, anyway, that's what we were doing to start off this podcast.
It was armor talk.
Yeah, it was armor talk.
Well, and like you said, whenever you picture that armor, like whenever you're playing D&D and you're a paladin and you're in full plate armor, you picture it as just like the fantasy World of Warcraft full plate armor where it's not actually full plate. So when you see a real picture of one, it's like, oh shit, that's what they're actually wearing.
Yeah. And there's that Hollywood, we were talking about the Hollywood view of it being like this big, bulky, immobile thing.
Yeah.
Immobile, immovable, whichever word you want to use for it. But like armor back in the day was made to fit your body. I mean, they took countless measurements, I'm sure, just to make sure that something wrapped around your bicep the way it was supposed to. So you get this armor that is completely fitted to your body like a fine Armani suit, and it just feels like nothing.
Yeah.
It may be 70, 80 pounds of armor, but if it's fitted to you, the weight is distributed across your body the whole way through. So it really doesn't feel like you're wearing like a backpack full of 70 pounds.
Right. You're just as strong as you normally are. It's just like you put on an evenly distributed 60, 70 pounds. So yeah, you'll get tired.
Yeah.
But it's not going to hinder you in the way most people thought it would.
Yeah.
And an interesting side note for armor, like everybody thinks, it's like a Hollywoodism. Oh, these people just ran around in armor all the time. Not everybody could afford it because especially that fitted stuff, that would take 6 months to a year to make for a team of skilled craftsmen. And the economic equivalent, the best way I've ever heard anyone relay this information to a person at like a living history event was to tell them, okay, you have, as a modern person, you have kind of an idea of a Ferrari or an Aston Martin or a Bugatti in terms of comparing that kind of car and the salary and job you need to be able to afford that car compared to the average middle or lower class individual in America.
Yeah.
Well, it was the same economic equivalent. If you saw somebody in a suit of fitted plate like that, that was like seeing somebody pull up in a Bugatti.
Yeah.
Or an Aston Martin. It's a horrendous amount of money involved. And that armor was a type of life insurance. Yeah. Not only because it protected you physically, but also if you had what it took to buy that armor in the first place, and then you paid for a staff of people to maintain that armor and keep it shined up and everything else, that could save your life on the battlefield if you lost.
Yeah.
Because then somebody could get it in their heads that, okay, I can beat this person down in combat, and then I can hold them for ransom because they've got the dough to pay for their life.
Right.
And if that was something you did, you made it a double ransom because you would ransom that person back to their family, and then you would ransom their equipment back to that person. Because why would they want to take another 6 months to a year when you're like, for a tenth of what that costs to make you, I'll give it back to you once you're safely back in your family estates.
Yeah.
Like if you, like there were English companies and other companies from other countries during some of these wars in the Middle Ages that would make their names, that would absolutely make their families for the next 10 generations by pulling off a score like that. You know, you have like 20 guys in a company out fighting under the banner of Britain, and you nail a couple French lords during the 100 Years' War, and you successfully pulled that off. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry about the next 10 generations of your family or the men who fought next to you, because you're like, hey guys, we just hit the jackpot.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome.
So there were some English foot soldiers who were elevated to lordhoods because they managed to pull off something like that and had the wherewithal to parlay that into both physical and political capital for themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely want to bash the brains into the people who were in the armor that didn't look like it was well kept, or, you know, they were just the peons. They couldn't afford the ransom. They weren't worth your time.
Yeah.
So a question that I brought up while we were talking about armor that I'm kind of curious about your guys' opinion on, as it pertains to D&D, how do you introduce this kind of armor into Dungeons and Dragons in a way that's not, okay, you just have to spend 6 months of wait time to get this armor made? Granted, I've never played in a campaign where you have that much downtime. Any campaign that I've ever DM'd is just go, 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 go. But how do you make different armor? How do you make the same armor interesting for people? And my example that I always go to is, oh, you killed a bunch of bandits. You're a rogue. You wear leather armor already. The bandits are all wearing leather armor. There's no difference in AC between the two of them. What makes you want to put on the bandits' armor outside of pictures?
The way I've always approached it, ever since picking up a blacksmith's apprenticeship and learning how to make armor pieces as a specialty, is understanding that there are different grades of armor. And for the most part, especially if you had like large armies in the field, most of them would be wearing armor of some kind. Not all of it would be fitted. You would have what's called munitions grade armors. And munitions grade armor is made during downtime from, like, in some armorer's shop, not to fit any specific customer, but to be like, we could slap this on somebody between this size range and that size range.
Okay.
It's not tailored to fit, but you can cinch up some straps and it will still cover a person's vital areas. It's just not going to be nearly as nice as the person who came in and dropped gold on your table to say, I want the best. Outfit me in this. So it's kind of I know D&D has a lot of the, like, oh, this is enchanted and that's why it's a +5. But to me, like, your bare minimum armors that you pick up, I always treated them like they were munitions grade armor. Like, this is a breastplate. It's going to cover like 60% of the vital organs on your chest area. So yeah, you get a defensive bonus for that.
Yeah.
Whereas something that's like a +3 to a +5, that's either going to take you time to earn and have made, or there's going to be some magic involved if you want to make this in less than 6 months.
So you could say, going back to this rogue, this rogue that I've referenced here, that a level 1 rogue, their armor may not have been built specifically for them because they're just starting out. Maybe they're a farmer turned rogue, or they grew up on the streets as an urchin. Their armor is munitions grade armor.
Yeah.
And then you might fight some bandits and find that they have armor that fits you better. And even though it doesn't give you any bonuses to it, you can just explain that the armor itself fits better. It looks nicer.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, because by and large, even if it fits better than the one that you bought from the store, it doesn't necessarily mean that it was made to be fitted armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if you're doing something like rolling on tables for loot generation, probably what I would do is I would say the friendlier their rolls were, the closer that armor would be to the size of the person looting it.
Yeah.
Where, like, I've had like structured, organized play for Pathfinder or some other RPGs where you can't loot everything that the people are wearing, which is kind of a pain.
Yeah,
Because,
Pathfinder,
like, oh,
you
I
just have like
I just got this guy, he's wearing chainmail. Why can't I have that chainmail?
Yeah.
And it's just in the rules of the society play that you can't have it.
Yeah, don't you just get a list of
Yeah, you get a list
what
of
you're-
things you can buy at the end
Yeah.
that might represent something you looted off the guys. But like the way I would treat that would be, hey, you're wearing leather armor, you'd like to upgrade to chain, but you just took out this guy wearing chain. Sure, you can loot him, you can wear it. I might give you a dex penalty if it doesn't fit you very well. So let's say you take it into the next big town that has an actual armorer, and you go into the armorer and drop that chain off and say, I need this tailored to me. And then, they'll put a week or 2 weeks worth of work into it to tailor it to fit you.
Yeah.
Because they're already starting with something that's complete. They just need to take some out of it here, or add a gusset under the armpits or something like that, and then it fits you better.
Okay.
So then I would say, okay, now you don't have to deal with the dex penalty anymore. You get the full defensive bonus.
Because my problem with, especially 5e, and I know you've played a lot more Pathfinder 2 than 5e lately, right?
Yeah, I think I've played like a handful of sessions with 5e, so I haven't really gotten in depth with it.
From what I've run into is they are very light on loot. Like you kill your monsters and you roll on your treasure table, but in the 5e monster manual, I don't even think there's a treasure table anymore, is there? Like it used to be in 3.5, it would give the loot. It would say like treasure amount standard or treasure amount extreme, stuff like that. 5e, I don't think has that anymore.
You go ahead and keep on talking, and I'll look real quick because I have D&D Beyond open right now. So.
Okay. You're just expected to dole out magical items at certain.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with Pathfinder 2. It's a little lighter on loot. We don't feel like in the campaign that we're running it's a pre-structured campaign, and we've been earning some decent items, and it is kind of structured to give you items that your group can actually use.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're going to go fight something and then, our party doesn't have a wizard, and you just got this item that'd be awesome for a wizard. Sucks to be you guys. It doesn't seem built that way.
Yeah.
And we do have a crafter, and there is downtime engineered in the game, because I think what the newest version of Pathfinder has done is try to make crafting be more beneficial. There is downtime at your fortress that your adventuring party is spending time at in between the books of this module, where it's structured as to what you want to do. Like if you're a strength-based person and you want to lead a crew of workers from a nearby town to shore up this broken wall, you can do that. And here's a structured table for rolling and accomplishing that. If you're a crafter, this is how much downtime you have. These are the items you could make.
That's really
cool. Do you want to do that? And so we have a crafter in our group.
Yeah.
So he's been adding like striking runes and other stuff to our weapons. Like my character's a dwarven barbarian. It's picked animal raging path.
Oh, so, nice. So you can turn into.
So he has like mystical tattoos on his face and hands. They look like bear. And so dwarf becomes bear when he rages. But because he's an animal rager, he can't use weapons when he rages. So at first that was like a tremendous nerf.
Because you're just dealing like a D4 or a D8 or something.
Right. As the dwarf bear rager, you could, as an animal rager in general, you just have a table of animals to choose from, and then you get a special attack based on that animal.
Yeah.
So like if you're a stag, then you get a horn attack. If you're a frog, you get a tongue attack. If you're a bear, you get jaws and claws. But it's based on the different animals.
Yeah,
And-
I made in Pathfinder 2, whenever I was playing with my brother, I was playing the preview of Pathfinder 2, not the actual full release. And I was playing a Dwarven Barbarian, and I can't remember the name of the path, but it's one where you can hit ghosts.
Yeah, I know which one it is. I call it the Ghost Puncher. But, yeah, I can't remember the name of the path, but I know which one you're talking about. But at first I thought it was just a tremendous nerf to the class because, everybody else was starting to pick up these basic enchanted weapons. And when you get a weapon that's +1, it doesn't just add 1 to your damage and your 2 hit. It adds a whole second die. So you get a +1 striking longsword, and a longsword might be 1d8. Well, your +1 striking longsword hits for 2d8 +1. So you're going up an entire category of damage. But with your barbarian, with your animal rager, you get around that by picking up enchanted items that are normally for monks. So you pick up hand wraps of +1 striking. So now they don't just have to be something that you're hitting with your hands. They apply to all attacks that are considered unarmed.
So the hand wraps work for your bear strikes?
Yes. So my bear jaws do a D12, but because I'm wearing striking hand wraps, they do 2d12.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of wish just for mechanics purposes I had tried out something like the Stag Rager, because when you go up to your weapon specialization, there are some animals that get like a different category added to their attack. So like if you're the stag and you have horns that you can attack people with when you're raging, now those horns have 10 feet reach.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So coming back to like the treasure tables and stuff, the treasure, it looks like, is based off of like single monsters or hordes, and then in tiers. So up to level 4, you roll on the tier 1 table, and then you can roll a different amount for it, whether or not it's an individual monster or horde.
Okay.
So it does exist. And then I think the magic weapons and stuff, I don't think that they're entirely level based. I know that I think it was in 4 they were trying to do more level based stuff to make it play along better with, I don't know, the minis, or making it more like a MMORPG or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 4th edition.
Yeah.
4th edition was built very much for you to have minis on a physical map.
Yeah. So
5th edition, you can only have 2 magic items too. Technically, you have to attune yourself to these magical items. So you have like a magic ring, you have to attune yourself to it. Now there's other certain items that you can wear that you don't have to attune yourself to. Like, well, Ginger had to attune herself to that staff, I know.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I gave you guys a bunch of stuff that you didn't have to attune to because I didn't like that rule.
Yeah.
But that really stopped me in my tracks. Is like, you have a magic ring and you have magic armor. That's the only magic items you can use.
There's a similar idea in Pathfinder 2 where it doesn't limit the amount of magic items you can have, but once their abilities get above a certain level, once they get like really powerful, you have to invest them for the day. So you
don't you have like a certain amount of points?
You are limited in how many you can invest in a day, but it doesn't limit the amount of magic items you can have. It's just like they become, at a certain level, they become like additional spell slots where you have to like prepare them.
Oh, okay.
So you can have like 20 magic items. You can have like 10 rings and a couple wands and magic armor and everything else. But if you plan on using them, you have to take time at the beginning of a day to invest only so many of them. So it's like you're preparing them, and you might get passive benefits from some of the others you're wearing, but you won't be able to trigger like one of their big abilities.
Oh, okay. That makes
So,
sense.
I can't remember what the limitations are on it. I know it's based off of some of your character statistics. I just don't remember what it is.
I know the idea, or I assume what the idea is, at least in 5e, is to make yourself so you're not this god tier character super early. You're not
Mhm.
just wearing a bunch of rings and stuff. But that's what I loved about 3.5 is if you game the system right, you could become this god tier character. So that's why I've kind of gotten rid of the rules.
To a certain extent, because even in 3.5, you could only wear a magical ring on each hand.
Yeah.
So
Unless you played that prestige class that could wear 10 rings.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, that's my D&D talk.
Yeah. I think once we have the time to actually start playing again and be able to dig a little bit more into the treasure creation rules, that's the kind of thing that I like doing anyway.
Yeah.
But I'd have to pull out the DM's guide and rifle through the tables and just see how treasure is actually constructed.
Yeah, I barely used the DM's guide.
Yeah.
Even when you were letting me borrow it whenever I was DMing, I barely used it.
Yeah. Well, and that's just dead. I mean, for story purposes, it's not really necessary. But
yeah,
if you want to roll up some boss treasure.
And that's something whenever I've DM'd that you've bitched at me about, as long as I can remember, is not giving you guys enough magic items.
Well, and it's not me bitching. I mean, we're all very bad at it. It seems like I don't do it either. So it wasn't. It was more of an observation about us as players. Is because we run such fast and loose campaigns that we don't really give a whole lot of thought to looking through and memorizing the fact that there's hundreds upon hundreds of awesome magical items that would be perfect for our characters, and it ends up being a bit of a nerf down the line as we go.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the power to take down certain characters sometimes, or the versatility.
And you talking about handing out treasure, and you can practice a little bit of malicious compliance as a DM when you do that. Just thinking specifically of something Brandon's brother did to our party when we took out this draconic being and it had a horde, and he was telling us how much the horde was worth, and we're all jumping around high-fiving each other in the middle of this inhospitable jungle territory about how much loot we now have, and then he drops the other shoe to let us know it's all in copper and silver. So we're trying to figure out how to pack 900 pounds of currency out of the jungle when we're like a month away from the closest village.
Yeah.
So that was entertaining. Like, okay, you take 30 pounds of coins. You take 30 pounds of coins. The barbarian has the largest carrying capacity, so he's going to get this much. So that was funny, getting that back home.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that we went probably a little long on our opening with D&D talk, but I could seriously talk D&D all day.
Oh yeah,
especially
for sure.
like DM tactics and stuff.
Yeah.
I do want to, before we get into the stories, talk about a movie that I saw.
Okay.
Have you heard of Parasite? It won Best Oscar, or won Best Film at the Oscars.
No.
I've heard of it. Haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so it's a Korean film, a South Korean film. I watched it a couple nights ago, and I just wanted to give a quick review of it.
Okay.
Basically, the premise is, and the most spoilery I'll get is within the first 15 minutes of the movie. So, because there's definitely a twist that comes within the movie that I don't want to give away. But it follows two families. I think their name is the Park family, and they're these super duper rich family that have like this perfect life. And then you have the Kim family, which all live in squalor, basically. None of them have jobs, or they're trying to get jobs. They can barely afford food, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the son, his best friend, comes to him and he's like, hey, I'm tutoring the daughter of the super rich family, but I have to go. I'm leaving the country for a little bit to go to America. So I'm going to tell them that you went to college as a tutor, as an English tutor, so you can work with the family now. So he makes up fake documents that show that he graduated from a university in the United States. And he goes and meets the mom. and comes on as the tutor. So now he has a job and he's getting a shit ton of money. While he's there, he finds out that their son, who's like maybe 6 or 7 years old, is an artist and has a hard time keeping an art teacher. So the poor boy, tells the mom, hey, I know somebody who's an art teacher. She might be available, but she's very expensive. And the mom's like, oh, I'd love that. So the poor boy gets his sister and tells her, don't say you're my sister. Pretend that you're from Illinois and that your name is Jessica and blah, blah, blah. So basically the poor family, the entire point of the movie is the poor family is ingratiating themselves into this rich family and they each get jobs. So eventually all of the family is working within this house. And this happens very early on, that all 4 members of the family are working within this house as different jobs. And it goes on from there. But it doesn't sound super interesting, but the movie itself is very, very interesting. And like I said, there's a plot twist in there that I did not expect to happen about halfway through the movie that turns it into an entirely different movie.
They kill off the rich family and take over there.
You would think that. That's what I thought was going to happen. Because I went into it knowing and hearing people say, like, even the advertisements for the movie itself said, like, this movie morphs into something you didn't expect. So I went in thinking, like, okay, they're going to kill and eat the rich family.
Right.
Or I expected there to be zombies because it was called Parasite.
Yeah.
So I went in halfway through the movie being like, okay, when are zombies going to attack? Because the poor people are all hanging out at the rich people's house, but the poor people don't let the rich people know that any of them are related.
Right.
So all 4 of them are working there, but they can't pretend. They have to pretend like they don't know each other at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my short review. It's definitely worth seeing. You can get it on Amazon. I know you can get it on Redbox. I think you can get it on Amazon for like $10. I found it on Pirate Bay.
Right. You mean you found it through legitimate purpose?
I found it through legitimate purposes. I went to an actual Pirate Bay where they were selling Blu-ray copies of this movie.
Yeah. Legitimate Blu-ray copies of the movie.
Speaking of foreign movies, I guess, since I'm on this topic.
Okay.
Did I ever talk about One Cut of the Dead on this show? A zombie movie that I watched?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
This is a Japanese movie. You can get it on Amazon as well. It's like $4.99, I think. I think it's Japanese. It's an Asian film, at least.
Okay.
And what it is it's a zombie movie, but it takes place in one cut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It'll take some planning.
Mm-hmm. So the movie itself, there's a twist halfway through the movie, so I won't get into the spoiler of the twist either. It's definitely one I would recommend very highly. Probably one of my favorite movies of last year that I saw.
Huh.
But yeah, the first half of the movie is a zombie movie, and it's just one continuous cut the entire time. Like at one point, the camera person trips and drops the camera, and somebody else snatches it up just to continue following the chase scene.
Oh, wow.
So it's about a filmmaker who is making a zombie movie in a haunted asylum, and then real zombies actually attack.
Huh.
So you have the actors who are dressed as zombies who are now like, oh shit, we got to get out of here. The director goes crazy and starts wrangling up these zombies, the real zombies, and throwing them at the actors, filming the entire time. And he's like, I'm going to make the greatest movie of all time. So he's throwing these zombies at the actual actors who are running away. So it's really good. And then the second half of the movie becomes something entirely different.
Huh.
But yeah, that's another movie I would recommend. One Cut of the Dead.
I don't know, all these foreign films with subtitles. It's just hard to get past that. I couldn't
Are you
believe
making a reference to our president?
Not specifically. Although I know that is a thing, but it was more like people in general kind of getting grumpy about, oh, I have to read subtitles. You know, even prompting the director of Parasite to say, you know, once you overcome that 1-inch subtitle barrier, so many movies open up to you. And I've never had a problem with subtitles in movies because sometimes there's information that you pick up because you don't hear an actor completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And just for me, sometimes there's additional hilarity involved in subtitles.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious that a person is sitting down and putting together the subtitles for this movie, and they're even working jokes into them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like one of the best instances is the show Archer.
I think you've talked about this before.
Yeah,
actually,
I might have mentioned it before, yeah.
where they
But,
keep changing their name.
yeah, it's early on in Archer when everybody's calling the one character Cheryl, Carol, and variations on that name, and her name in subtitles appears as multiple names divided by backslashes.
Yeah.
And I even made a Facebook status update about my new favorite subtitle in a movie, because I just watched one of the films that got some Oscar attention, Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it, even though I'm not really a car person. But it was an intriguing film. And one of the subtitles in it, when they're over competing in Le Mans, it's a very famous race over in France, and the subtitle, when a character walks out of their hotel to kind of take in the racetrack before it gets all busy, there's a subtitle that says, "Man singing drunkenly in French in distance." I was like, that's my new favorite movie subtitle.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
and those are getting more and more common. So even if it's in a language you understand, watch it with the subtitles sometime. It can be fun.
So what about you, Rem? Is there anything you've been doing
Nope.
you want to talk about?
Not really.
You've been just kind of plugging away at the same plug, right?
It's been the same thing. Yep. I can't do anything exciting because it's just schoolwork, work, and the occasional streamer work. So
All you do is work.
Yep. All I do is work.
Work.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a worse song to get stuck in my head than the one that I don't remember anymore.
So we did something right.
I think Who Let the Dogs Out actually cleansed my palate.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
not stuck in my head.
Yeah. No. That song never got stuck in my head, oddly enough.
I think it's about ugly women, too. I was reading the lyrics, and it reads like they're saying, "Who let the dogs out at the club?" like the ugly women.
That's probably correct.
Yeah.
Not very nice.
Not a nice song at all.
Not at all.
The Royal Mint is releasing 3 new dinosaur-themed coins, the first ever in the UK.
Dinosaur-themed coins?
The series of 50 pence coins is a collaboration with paleo artist Bob Nichols and experts at the museum.
Huh.
The coins will honor the first 3 dinosaurs found in modern-day Britain and the first ever named: Megalosaurus, Iguanodon, and Hylaeosaurus.
Huh.
Although at the time they were named, dinosaurs as a group didn't exist. In fact, it was these 3 animals that made Sir Richard Owen realize that there was something different enough about them that they warranted being placed in a new group, which he named Dinosauria. Oh, look. These aren't animals at all.
These are things that we've never seen before. I'm going to call them Dinosauria. Dino after the Latin term, because I don't know any Latin. So here's what I kind of took from this. There is an artist whose niche is apparently just drawing dinosaurs.
Yeah, a paleo artist.
A paleo artist.
That's a pretty awesome niche.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's some real fucking dialing down your side hustle sort of talk right there.
Yeah,
That's the kind of-
seriously.
That's the kind of crap our teachers in grade school always told us we couldn't do when we grew up.
Yeah.
Take it. Take that.
So the coins
make money. You're making money drawing dinosaurs.
You're making money and making literal money
Yeah.
in the case of this artist.
the coins
I
themselves
see what you did there, Chad.
won't be available in circulation,
Mhm.
but they are legal tender. So you can buy them as collectibles, and then if you want, you can spend them. And then I guess they would be in circulation from there, but they're not getting put into regular circulation.
Weird.
I wonder if this has anything to do with Brexit, like them exiting the. I mean, well, because if they left the European Union, does that mean they're going back to another currency system, or are they still going to use the euro even if they're not part of the European Union anymore?
That I don't know. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't understand what Brexit is.
I understand very little of it. I've kind of read up on it, but it's a confusing topic.
Yeah. Remington and I tried to talk about it one time, and somebody left us a YouTube comment telling us not to talk about politics because we didn't know what we were talking about.
Wait, is that an actual thing that happened?
Yeah, when we talked about Brexit years ago, because I said it had to do with racism is all I knew about it. And they said that we didn't know what we were talking about. It was somebody you knew or somebody from your Lurk Squad group, though.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Who said that we didn't know what we were talking about.
I mean, that's fair. They're correct. But
Yeah. So I'll just steer away from Brexit. But yeah, dinosaur-themed coins, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Legal currency dinosaur coins.
Yeah.
I want some.
I think there's pictures of them.
I really do.
I don't know how much they are to buy. So yeah, I guess we didn't get a lot of
were you expecting
out of that one?
Expecting a little bit more out of that one there, Brandon?
Yeah, I was. I was expecting some sweet dinosaur talk, at least.
Well, what was your favorite dinosaur? I mean, every kid has a favorite dinosaur at some point. It seems to be a human constant.
I can't remember if this is the name or not, but I think it's called the Ankylosaur. The one that has like the turtle shell with the spikes sticking out the sides.
Ankylosaurus.
And then it has the big spiked tail.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tank of dinosaurs.
Yeah, that was always my favorite.
That was a cool one. Rem, what about you?
Why
am I the host now?
I would say probably. I always thought the Triceratops was pretty badass. I also really liked the Brontosaurus, but that was mostly because it was easy for me to draw, and I'm not a very good artist.
So you're not going to grow up to be a paleo artist, is what you're saying?
Hell no. I feel like Jurassic Park really opened up your eyes to a lot of different dinosaurs that you didn't think of, though.
Yeah.
Even though they still kind of played on some of the big tropes like Tyrannosaurus himself. And
yeah, I'm going to go on record with my unabashed love for the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Just, man, awesome.
I mean, it's a totally cool dinosaur, but I also feel like it's kind of calling an audible if you just say T-Rex is my favorite dinosaur. Not like calling you out specifically, because if you like it, you know?
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is, for sure. And don't get me wrong, he's a cool fucking dinosaur, but it just feels like if I were to have said T-Rex, I feel like everybody loves the T-Rex.
Yeah.
What's not to love about that giant meat eater?
And
terrifying. I will tell you that Ginger will tell you exactly which dinosaur she doesn't like. The Velociraptor scared the shit out of her when she won't even watch Jurassic Park. She doesn't really
because of the raptors.
Yeah.
Well, the kind of the reason I go with T-Rex is because it scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Right.
Like, it's one of the earliest memories I have of going to a museum was my parents taking me to the Pittsburgh Museum of Natural History.
Yeah.
And we even have a photo of it somewhere in our family albums that aren't very organized. But it was one of the first things you saw coming into the Hall of Natural History, and they have since rebuilt it. But it was the old style of pose of the T-Rex where its tail is touching the ground and squatting back on its legs and rearing its front half like way up in the air.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing was 25, 27 feet tall, and it had this painting of that pose behind it hanging off the wall. And it was one
by
of those
a paleo artist, no less.
Yeah. And like super dark, a lot of dark greens and reds and purples with like lightning splitting the sky behind it. It is very overblown and dramatic. And I like that made an impression on me as a kid. I think I only watched as a kid once the Rite of Spring portion of Fantasia where they animated the Stegosaurus being killed by the T-Rex, and that scared the piss out of me as a kid.
Right. That's another movie I've never seen as Fantasia.
Definitely worth a watch.
Is it?
Do you have Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on Disney Plus. That's actually a good question. I mean, it ought to be eventually if it's not now. But yeah, not to get too off topic, but that scene, once you get to the Rite of Spring, it's animated a lot as like the rise of the dinosaurs and through to their eventual extinction. And there's a pretty iconic, like most people who remembered watching this as kids were like, oh God, it gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Triceratops getting eaten by a T-Rex?
Stegosaurus.
A Stegosaurus?
Yeah, it's like all these dinosaurs doing normal dinosaur things like munching on leaves and stuff, and then the T-Rex has to show up and wreck everyone's shit.
Those damn T-Rexes.
Yep.
Sorry,
course-
I'm tardy to the party, bitches.
And then, of course, there was Sharptooth and Land Before Time.
Yeah.
Because that got dark and scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, T-Rex. And I watched a lot of Dino Riders as a kid. When you can put a brain box on a T-Rex and then mount all kinds of guns on its sides and wreck some things with missiles and lasers, go for it. That's something I'm surprised has not been remade yet.
Right.
Because, I mean, can you imagine putting guns on the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of really weird concepts that just haven't been remade yet. Like that one, there's that the one where the anthropomorphized sharks,
Street Sharks.
street sharks, yeah. And then
I feel like Dino Riders is like just a guaranteed home run.
SWAT Kats. Fucking SWAT Kats, man. I don't know why that hasn't been remade.
Because nobody has fucking heard of SWAT Kats?
Dude, it was one of the best series ever.
I remember the name, but I don't know if I ever watched it.
Oh my God.
SWAT
that was one
Kats,
of my
the Radical
favorites.
Squadron.
Yeah.
You can watch it now on Prime Video for $1.99.
Dude, it's totally worth a watch.
Chance T-Bone Furlong and Jake Razor Clawson.
Yep.
Members of Megacat City's elite law enforcement agency, the pilots become grounded after their pursuit of archvillain Dark Cat sets them at odds with the headstrong Commander Farrell, etc., and so on.
Yeah, basically they're two mechanics that work in a junkyard and they end up
It looks pretty bad.
after they're disbarred or whatever. I guess disbarred wouldn't be the word for it, but after they use all the parts to make their own. They own a junkyard and they use the parts to make it their own jet and become vigilantes, basically, on the hunt for Dark Cat.
Sounds like it's worth a watch at some point.
It was. I really liked it, and it was very verge of not really for kids. It still was, but a lot of the content was a little darker, and that's probably why a lot of people don't necessarily remember it. But I always liked it because it was not your standard.
So kind of more
fodder.
akin to Gargoyles in terms of content.
Yeah, it was around that same time too.
It definitely has that 90s look
Mm-hmm.
of like hoses and shit coming out of them.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe neither of you had heard of SWAT Kats.
I had heard of it.
Or,
I
yeah,
just
but-
hadn't watched it.
Wow.
It's no Samurai Pizza Cats, that's for sure.
That's for fucking sure.
I know I never watched Samurai Pizza Cats.
The first anime probably that I ever watched, Samurai Pizza Cats.
We've talked about Samurai Pizza Cats, I think, quite a bit on this podcast.
And it
actually.
was an enjoyable episode when you guys discussed it.
Yep.
I remember liking that one.
Who do you call when you want some pepperoni?
Samurai Pizza Cats. So guess who's coming back in Star Wars?
Palpatine, because that hasn't been done before.
Ahsoka Tano.
No. Well, I don't know. Padme.
Padme?
Yep.
Why?
This is that I don't have an answer to.
Because
I
she
have an
was
answer.
also a Palpatine.
Yeah.
Was she?
No.
Oh, okay.
But that's Disney's everything. That's Disney's answer to everything now is apparently, Palpatine.
Yeah, Palpatine,
Palpatine.
screwed him.
Palpatine. It's probably Palpatine.
That's how Siths be, getting all the action.
Palpatine.
It's from Darth Vader #1, the comic.
Okay.
It just released. The final pages of the issue focus on Vader visiting a mysterious planet called Vendaxa, where he soon finds himself held at gunpoint by someone who looks exactly like his former wife. He calls out, "Padme?" and the issue ends.
No.
So it could be Padme, it could be one of her lookalikes who's hunting for revenge,
Yeah.
it could be a shapeshifter. Probably not Padme, I don't know.
Probably not a shapeshifter.
There's shapeshifters in Star Wars.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a couple types. There's Claudites, which Zam Wessel, the contract bounty hunter who was working for
Oh yeah.
Jango Fett, was a Claudite shapeshifter.
Watch the prequels, dummy.
Sorry, guys.
Because he looks like somebody and then they kill him and then his face turns back into all weird looking.
Huh, I did not know that there were shapeshifters in the Star Wars universe.
There's probably like 4 races of shapeshifters, if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally didn't spend like all our alone time pouring through the Alien anthology and reading up on all the stuff we didn't get to see in the movies.
Yeah.
None of us did that.
Fucking nerds.
So do you care if Padme comes back? I mean, you don't really care about Star Wars anyway.
Not specific stuff like that, no.
You can't be bothered to see the movies.
I can't be.
So I can't say your love of Star Wars is low because you still love Star Wars, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do.
But your care for any new Star Wars is abysmal.
That's not entirely true either. Because I believe they just did the last episode of the new one on Disney XD that I wasn't a fan of.
Resistance?
Was that? I think it was Resistance. Was that the newest one that was on there?
Resistance is a newer one. I don't know if it's only on Disney Plus because I haven't kept up with the majority of their
I think it's
tertiary
Resistance.
series besides Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So like I know I need to get caught up on Clone Wars and Rebels and other stuff.
Yeah, it was Resistance. The only thing I didn't like about Resistance is that there were two of the main characters who were kind of dumb and kind of screamy.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's just like we don't need two of them. And the one was supposed to be a main freaking character. The other one was technically kind of an ancillary, a secondary character. But he didn't really seem to grow as a person. He was still a coward down through the end. And it's just like you didn't give him any character development, it felt like. I think they destroyed his planet. They destroyed his fucking planet and he was still running around like a fucking yelly bitch. Sorry. It just pissed me off. They destroyed his entire planet and that didn't change him enough to, not be a scaredy little twat burger.
This is Resistance?
Yeah. The rest of the characters I really pretty much enjoyed. Like Niku is the other kind of screamy character, but it was fine because he was an alien, and it was clear that his English wasn't quite as good as everybody else's around. So like he would use very literal sentences.
Yeah.
There's that racism bubbling up again.
I know. It's fine because he was an alien.
I quit the podcast. Fine.
Did you watch Mandalorian, Chad?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think of it?
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
Yeah, Mandalorian was great. I don't want to get into any spoilers or anything, but
so good.
Why? It's not like I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I know. You need to get Disney Plus. Actually, no, I can't even say that.
With you talking about how into Westerns you got when you were working for one place. I mean, this is...
Oh,
like,
I 100%...
This is like Outer Rim, Star Wars underbelly of all the seedy places,
right.
Directed by Clint Eastwood is basically it.
There's an episode called The
God.
Gunslinger.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that I would very much enjoy
It's so good.
The Mandalorian. I just don't have Disney Plus.
There's an episode that the entire setup is there's a young bounty hunter who is trying to get into the Bounty Hunters Guild. And his mark or his target is somebody who's like way above his skill level. There's no way he can capture them at all. So he hires the Mandalorian and promises him all the money. He's like, I don't give a shit. You can have all the money. I just need you to come along with me so we can capture this person and I can finally get into the guild.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just a buddy cop episode for one episode, pretty much.
Yeah, involving him using sign language to speak to some Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty great scene.
I like where he's talking to the Jawas whenever they
my God, I love the Jawas.
The Jawas strip his ship at one point. He goes off to do something and he comes back and his ship is just, he can't do anything with it. So he finds Quill, is that the guy's name? Quill?
Yes.
The guy that Nick Nolte played?
Yep.
So he gets Quill to go with him to go talk to the Jawas to get his ship pieces back.
Well, first he tries to take it back by force, ends up killing quite a few Jawas and getting electroshocked off their sand crawler and knocked unconscious for a while.
Yeah.
Then he goes for help.
Going back to the Western mentality, it's like a train robbery. It's like a great train robbery because he's hanging off the side of it and he's trying to climb up and they're just throwing junk at him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the part that killed me the most is he's talking to the Jawas and they say something about how they're not his ship pieces anymore. And he goes, well, what about this? And he just flamethrowers.
He just starts shooting his
flamethrowers at them, and they all duck back, and the guy he's with is like, no, what are you doing? But it's just apropos of nothing. Like, the first time he uses his flamethrower, my thought was like, man, that's an expensive ass effect. They're going to save that for when they really need it to be badass.
Yeah.
No. He uses that flamethrower every goddamn chance he gets. He's flamethrowing stormtroopers. He's flamethrowing horn beasts. He's flamethrowing everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh my gosh, there's a Nerf. Speaking of his weapons, there's a Nerf version of Whispering Birds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the wrist rocket launcher.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
See, now of all the things we were watching Disney XD, and there was a commercial for Disney Plus because of course, and it was showing new shows that were coming out. What I want to get Disney XD for, The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah,
he's such a weird dude, and I just love him.
I haven't checked out the show, but I've heard that it's good. I've heard that it's good and weird.
I would hope so.
In one of the episodes, he LARPs.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Go. Hold on.
So I want to. I definitely want to see it. I haven't seen it, and I have Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like Hugh did an episode of Hot Ones. Do you guys know what Hot Ones is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, go look up Hot Ones on the internet. They have, I think they're in their like 9th season of Hot Ones, something like that. And it's this fella who brings famous people on to grill them with probably some of the deeper questions that you'll ever find on an interview while eating progressively hotter hot wings. And it's
such a weird premise for a show that has now spawned itself into a true TV game show.
Yeah, it is now. They released a true TV game show where normal people come on. The host is the same, and Sean Evans is his name. And he's I haven't seen it. I think he's just asking them questions while they eat hot wings, basically. And
yeah. He has an interview with Weird Al. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Is it Weird Al eating hot wings?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird because Weird Al I thought was vegan.
Well, what he does is he puts some of the hot sauce on them, and then he'll like take a bite of the breading. Or whatever. Okay. He doesn't eat the whole hot wing.
Well, they actually have vegan wings that they will do for people who. So I don't know if they did that for him or not.
It might have been before they brought those on the show, but he like just to keep with the theme, he would take a bite out of the breading of the hot wing, and that was it.
Yeah,
because you're not required to eat the entire hot wing, just to experience the
heat of it,
the heat of whatever he's selected for his guest.
My favorite episode, I've watched many of them, and my favorite episode is the one with Alton Brown.
I haven't seen that one. I have seen his interview with Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Alton Brown, he's fucking prolific in the Food Network scene. He originally had a cooking series where he basically taught cooking techniques to like the kind of the simple stuff, like the true introduction to cooking techniques. But he comes on, and Alton, he's kind of a dick, but kind of in a great way. And I didn't know that we fucking opened up the menagerie and everybody's just coming in here. Sorry.
It's a podcast support animal. What are
Right?
you talking about?
Where was I? So he comes on, and he's number one, the first guest to bring half and half.
Okay.
To help mitigate the heat. And Alton is kind of known for preferring hot and spicy stuff anyway. And then he goes through and he reorganizes the sauces by taste. And there's one he straight up throws in the trash.
Wow.
He just grabs it up and he's like, oh. And he throws it in the trash and goes, crap, just crap. And it's hilarious.
Cracks me up. Watch that when I get home now.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, Brandon, bring us a next one. We've only actually been recording for an hour and a half now, so.
Build-A-Bear Workshop And BBC Studios have launched a Doctor Who range of stuffed animals and accessories inspired by the sci-fi series.
That's cool.
The branded bear with its glossy eyes and coy smile. Yeah, coy smile.
Yeah.
It's a fuckable face.
What?
Coy implies sexy.
Let's not talk about...
The branded bear with its glossy eyes and sexy smile features TARDIS pattern paw pads and a proprietary pair of hearts on its chest. Complete your furry Time Lord look with a 10th Doctor costume, complete with 3D glasses, or 13th Doctor outfit. Plush versions of each sonic screwdriver comes with an elastic handle for easy portability.
Why did you have to make this wholesome thing sexy?
I didn't make it sexy. They made it sexy when they used the word coy. You don't think sexy smile when you hear coy?
No, not necessarily.
Like coy. Do a coy smile right now. See, that's sexy.
I'm glad I still turn you on, Brandon, after all these years.
Man, I even went to dictionary.com to try and shoot Brandon's interpretation down, but it's listed as the very first
synonym or something?
No, coy, adjective, especially with reference to a woman, making a pretense of shyness or modesty that is intended to be alluring.
Boom. Fucking boom.
All right, I guess we're going to be fucking teddy bears.
Again.
Especially since we started talking about a furry doctor. Like, combining a crap ton of fandoms there.
So I brought this
second definition of coy. Reluctant to give details, especially about something regarded as sensitive. And then quiet and reserved or shy.
See, number 2 would definitely be a little more on the doctor's side because there's a lot of information that the doctor holds back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, he's holding back a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Marked by cute, coquettish, or artful playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that all fits the doctor.
So I brought this story up specifically because one of our friends wanted us to talk Doctor Who.
Okay.
None of us really know Doctor Who that well.
I mean,
you're watching the new season, aren't you?
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
I've watched almost all of the episodes since it came back on with Chris Eccleston.
Chris Eccleston?
Yeah.
Is that the lady doctor?
No.
Chris can be a girl's name too.
You really know nothing about Doctor Who.
No, I'm completely in the dark.
When it was
Doctor
first
Who.
rebooted.
Christopher Eccleston.
Yes.
He just said Chris.
When it was first rebooted, Christopher Eccleston played the Doctor for not even a full season. He was the 9th Doctor before
David Tennant.
Yeah, before David Tennant took over.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched a few seasons. I've gotten into it on and off over the years, mainly because of friends who were into it.
Yeah.
And which was funny to me. I like to brush up against other fandoms and kind of enjoy them because I see people involved in the fandom enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
So probably one of the weirdest introductions to that fandom. I knew about it vaguely because I had friends who were into it. And then I had a friend locally who wanted to go see the Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary movie. And they had 2 tickets. They didn't want to go by themselves, and they had to go all the way to Athens to see it in the theater. And they just asked me if I wanted to come because I was free at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, that's fine. They're like, do you need me to catch you up on anything? I'm like, nah, I'll just go into it
blind.
Yeah. And it was an interesting experience, and I even bought the movie as a DVD because I kind of get, even though I know a little more about the universe now, I kind of get some of the same feelings that I got when I was in the theater of watching other people enjoy it and knowing from audience reactions that either this was a big payoff to some sort of story that had happened in the past, or this character was important because of something that had happened between them and the Doctor. So it was interesting because I was kind of a part of the fandom. I was inside the inner circle, so to speak, but more as an observer, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So it gave it kind of a fresh a fresh taste of fandom.
Yeah.
Because it was something I was unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
And I haven't caught up with it by any means. I haven't seen any of the episodes with either Peter Capaldi or the latest incarnation of the Doctor,
Whittaker.
And Jodie Whittaker, and I haven't seen any of those. I kind of stopped somewhere toward the end of Tennant's run and haven't really seen a whole lot with Matt Smith's Doctor.
Yeah.
In fact, the first episode of the actual show I watched was a Matt Smith episode. And past that, I haven't really seen any of his tenure.
Tennant, I think, is probably, I mean, he's pretty well regarded. He did, if I remember, he did the most seasons, number one. And number two, he's usually regarded as the best of the newer incarnations of the Doctor. And I think Eccleston was my favorite for a long time, but eventually it kind of gave way. Just because he had kind of a darker feel to him than Matt Smith or Tennant. Smith was really interesting and quirky, and then Capaldi came along, and I really enjoyed Capaldi. Just kind of seeing the Doctor as kind of an old man, sort of. It was really, really interesting. But there was this seriousness. Capaldi really did a good job at capturing the silly side, but also just this weird, dark side that the Doctor had or has. And of course, the new one is pretty much the first season where the head writer who had been writing ever since the beginning has retired, and the writing is really, I don't want to say it's bad because it's not bad, but you can tell it's different, and it's kind of hard to get into. And there are a lot of characters in it. She has 3 companions right now, and that's a lot to balance. 3 companions, and then maybe expounding upon each one of their stories. And I think it's going to come, hopefully, but right now everybody just seems kind of flat because there's so many different characters to kind of pay attention to. So that's what I'm running up against with this new Doctor.
So back to the story that got us on this, are these bears meant to be just bear versions of previous iterations of the Doctor, or are they just bears who are Time Lords?
They're just bear Time Lords, from what I understand. You can get them dressed up like the 10th or the 13th Doctor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think this will add to the Doctor's canon?
Not a thing.
You don't think we're going to get a bear episode?
No, probably not.
Why not?
I don't feel like they do that kind of marketing.
New Doctor, new writer. You don't know.
This is true.
There's a picture for you, Rem.
This website uses cookies. That's a good picture.
I mean, bears need cookies regardless of whether or not they're Time Lords.
That's true.
that big plush
TARDIS that it comes with.
Yeah, the TARDIS and the Sonic is just interesting.
So you're looking about $30 to $40, I think. Unless you get it with the TARDIS.
Buy all for $71.
Okay, so $71 gets you the bear, the sonic screwdriver, and the TARDIS with the glasses and everything.
Yeah, the whole kit and caboodle. The whole kit and TARDIS doodle. I don't know. I'm sorry. I tried to make that work and it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was too much.
But definitely cute. Something for the collectors, for sure.
Is Doctor Who still as popular as it has been? Is the female Doctor dividing people?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the politics of it.
Probably only the people who would bitch about it and
I don't
really good additions to the fandom anyway. I mean,
yeah, I don't really feel like. I guess as far as like the female Doctor thing, like I don't. There's been more commentary. Just in the general treatment of people to people as a whole, just the poor treatment of people to other people.
Yeah.
So like sex, race, whatever, they all play a little bit of a part in that. But overall, the entire scheme seems to be humans treating humans like garbage. is not cool. That sort of thing. It's really kind of what we're seeing in the new seasons.
Okay.
And I feel like it opens up new directions you can go, because what's the name of the device that the Doctor uses where they basically present what's ostensibly a blank object, and the person they're presenting it to just kind of fills the information in with whatever.
Oh yeah, the psychic paper.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of interesting that the psychic paper could have perhaps different or unintended side effects with the Doctor being female in different times.
Yeah.
Just
and they
depending
did
on the
address
cult.
that once.
So
yeah.
you know that would have to be a thing that,
oh yeah, for sure.
that you can get a new story out of.
Yeah.
And I just kind of saw some people going off on, everything's got to be SJW now. Oh, we've got to have a woman doing this. Like, you had 13 versions of guys doing it first. Like, how are you going to make it different?
The best version of the Master, in my opinion, is when Missy was the Master, which is the Doctor's childhood nemesis.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, aka Brandon.
Yes. I'll be the audience surrogate
Yeah.
who doesn't watch Doctor Who.
Yeah. The Master has been around since the early times. He was a childhood friend of the Doctor. They grew up together. And I don't remember specifically what it is, but basically there's a thing that you don't look at in Time Lord, in the Time Lord world, because it'll drive you crazy if it doesn't kill you. The Master looked into it and became crazed and psychotic and just revels in chaos and mischief and basically making the universe a worse place to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he or she is behind pretty much everything?
Not everything. I mean, there are standalone villains like the Cybermen and the
Daleks?
The Daleks and...
Yeah, the Master's kind of more like the Moriarty to Holmes.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not behind everything, but they do have a lot of antagonism back and forth.
Okay.
Linked by multiple nefarious plots.
Yeah. And the way that Missy goes out, the Doctor is finally getting through to the Master, and has kind of shown the error of his ways over time. This is in the Capaldi Missy back and forth. He actually locks her up he's like working as a professor in the college, and he locks her up beneath the college in like a time vault, and goes down there basically for reconditioning, like trying to show her that the things that she has done over, the thousands and thousands of years has been wrong.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally wrong. And finally starts to get through, and she ends up killing herself. Spoilers. She runs into the earlier version of herself, only as the male character.
Yeah.
The male Master. And they end up poisoning each other. One poisons the other, and the other stabs, if I remember right. So it's kind of that's kind of her. It's kind of her recompense is to try and to kill the earlier version, but he also poisons her.
Oh,
or something like, or maybe it's vice versa. But yeah, and then reincarnation happens, and she is now a he again, and just as crazy as from the beginning.
So
I think he's actually from a different timeline. Yeah, because she did that. The timeline splits, I think, is what happened. So the new reincarnation doesn't have any recollection of the reconditioning that had been happening.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. It gets in true Doctor Who format, it gets real timey-wimey real fast.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Do you like King Kong, Remington?
I am a fan of large
Creatures?
large apes, large gorillas. Sure.
Okay. What about you, Chad? Do you like the 1933 monster movie King Kong? Starring Fay Wray, Robert Armstrong, Bruce Cabot, and Frank Riker?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, you've actually seen it?
Most of it.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've seen most of it too.
It's coming back to the big screen March 15th
Huh.
of this year.
So like the black and white version?
Yeah. The network Turner Classic Movies is teaming up with Fathom Events to host the screenings on more than 600 screens. And Turner Classic Movie host Ben Mankiewicz will offer insight and commentary on the film.
That's cool.
So yeah, I don't know how
I think
he's
I'd like to see that on a big screen. That'd be interesting.
I don't know how he's going to offer insight and commentary on 600 screens unless he pre-records it and then it just plays underneath the track or something, unless he's going on a major tour.
It's probably going to be one of those pre-recorded things because I've seen a few Fathom events and they usually have some sort of maybe 5 to 10 minute preceding recorded message, either message from the director or commentary by somebody familiar with the film.
Oh, okay.
Because I always try to grab the Studio Ghibli movies because there is a recurring yearly like kids oriented festival where Fathom Events tries to show a Ghibli movie once a month as a Fathom event, and they will usually precede that by somebody who is familiar with the production of that movie talking about it. Like I know with Princess Mononoke, one of them that they set up was a brief interview with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Because he did the translation for the American dub back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Does he speak Japanese?
Apparently.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um,
Man, Neil Gaiman's just the coolest.
yeah, he is.
I don't know if he speaks Japanese or if it was converted to English and then he rewrote the parts like Chad was talking about.
Yeah,
earlier,
I'd like to do a bit more research into that and see what the case is. But yeah, that's a very interesting movie to get into, just in terms of how we almost didn't get that movie because Harvey Weinstein wanted to edit it very heavily.
Yeah.
It's just another mark against that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine seeing a chopped down version of Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I assume for the King Kong thing, it's going to be a pre-recorded bit of him discussing the historical impact of the movie, maybe how enduring of a legacy it's had with all the reboots, all the mashups, Godzilla and King Kong, and how many other movies and franchises King Kong has kind of stomped his way into.
Yeah.
Including our hearts.
Oh.
The best franchise of all. Speaking of movies, heading into President's Day weekend, Sonic was tracking to gross roughly $45 to $50 million for the 4-day holiday.
Yeah.
Its 3-day gross of $58 million beat those projections alone, while the estimated 4-day gross of $70 million represents the 4th best domestic showing for the holiday behind Black Panther, Deadpool, and 50 Shades of Grey.
That doesn't surprise me. It seems like it's getting really... it's being viewed a lot. I haven't actually read any reviews about it.
It's getting decent reviews.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Once they fix Sonic looking like a fucking...
monster, yeah.
Monster, yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of what's driven a bigger audience turnout.
Yeah, for sure.
People getting on various social media platforms and saying, now listen here, you little bitches.
Right?
We raised a stink about how he looked, and then they didn't have to, but they went and changed it, so you better spend your money on this to show that you appreciate the poor saps that you sent back to the work farms to fix Sonic. Because I noticed that in the many months between when that story originally broke and when the movie came out, that there were constantly reminders on Facebook and other social media platforms of people saying, remember your promise.
Right.
They did it. They made it better. Now you go support them.
Right.
So I'm sure that had a hand in it.
Let's hope so, because
I do kind of want to see it.
That's a lot of work to go back
Yeah,
in
I'm curious
and
to go see it as well.
completely redesign a character after the movie is basically done.
And I'd like to see Jim Carrey back on the screen as a cartoonish villain type person. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's just playing up the goofiness again.
Yeah. My
last bit of movie news here, Eli Roth is directing an upcoming Borderlands movie.
All right. How do you feel about this, Brandon? Because you're you like Borderlands.
I like Borderlands. I'm not like super invested in the story or anything.
Right.
I like Eli Roth. I think he does some good work. Now, if you were to ask me to name an Eli Roth movie, I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
But I know I've seen Eli Roth stuff before. I enjoy his directing style. So I think it would be good. Borderlands has kind of a chaotic sense of humor to it that I think would work well with Eli Roth's style.
Yeah. Who was it that played a lot of Borderlands when we were kids?
I know Ethan did.
Yeah, I think it probably was Ethan. I think he was bigger into it than you were.
I played a lot of Borderlands, though. I really did.
Yeah. Your big thing was Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout and Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. And then, what was the one with? That wasn't Fallout 2, was it? The first person one with the guy in the suit. Why am I brain farting on that?
Half-Life?
Half-Life, yeah.
Yeah, I was a big Half-Life fan.
Yeah. Thank you. I couldn't. It was like right on the tip of my tongue, and I was like, I cannot remember that to save my life. But yes, Half-Life.
Yeah. And Half-Life, the new Half-Life game comes out next month, too.
Yeah, that's
March 23rd.
Yeah. Are you excited? Are you going to go in and play that?
It's VR only.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
My younger brother has a VR headset, and he has already pre-ordered the game, so I'm sure I'll go and try it out, but I probably will just watch a walkthrough. Because I'm way too poor to afford a VR headset and a computer that'll run it.
Right.
All right, so I guess I'll hit up my final story here, and this is a quick one.
Okay.
Computer scientist Larry Tesler, we'll pour one out for this guy today.
Okay.
Who was an instrumental figure at Apple in the 80s and 90s, died on Monday, so just earlier this week, at the age of 74, according to Apple Insider. Tesler began his career in the 60s as a programmer and Stanford AI researcher before joining Xerox in 1973. One of his inventions during his time at Xerox, and his invention, this is what really elevates him to the status that we should thank him for.
Okay.
One of his inventions during his time at Xerox is something so ubiquitous it's easy to forget that someone invented it. With Tim Mott at Xerox, Tesler created the cut, copy, and paste commands we use daily.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He didn't invent the fundamental idea of moving digital text from one place to another, but did create the specific method and naming convention that endured.
That's probably one of my favorite key combinations ever of all time.
Control Z, Control V.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Control X for cut. Yep, I use it constantly.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thank you for that,
Larry Tesler.
Larry Tesler. It's so interesting to see like these names that you in the tech world that you don't know, but who did things that were just this quality of life sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, stuff that you wouldn't think about.
Yeah. And now, but at the same time, like we've gone past it. Like there are a lot of people who just don't even know the copy paste functionality of a keyboard because you use your mouse, right? So you just highlight it, right click, and then copy, paste, cut, whatever. But the power users, I guess you could call them, will especially like in Adobe programs. I mean, knowing your keyboard shortcuts is kind of a big deal for your productivity, like because it takes a lot longer to do something that you can do with just, you know, your 5 fingers on a hand in keystrokes.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one to end out on, Brandon. I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah.
Larry Tesler.
It's a weird thought just with the celebrity and inventor deaths that inevitably mark the passage of every year. Now we're getting into people who were instrumental in a lot of our technologies and how that's so different from the occasional celebrity death you'd hear about when you were growing up, when you were young. And it's like, oh, it's that guy from oh, it's that guy from the talkies that my parents watched when they were younger. How it doesn't have as much of a cultural impact on you. Now we're getting into the people who were responsible for some of the foundations of Windows and Apple products.
Yeah.
And now those people are aging into physical obsolescence. And it puts a different spin on just on your worldview for sure.
Yeah. Especially to the people who, like I may not have known who he was, but now knowing what he did, like as a geek, it's kind of like, oh, it's like you said, things that I don't remember if that was actually in the article or if those were your words about, might not have known who he was, but this is what he did. And just the instrumentalness behind what he created is really interesting.
Yeah, and it would have gotten created anyway at some point.
Yeah, you would think. You would hope anyway. But the fact that he was the one who noticed that would be an improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thank you, Chad, for coming on once again.
Yeah, sure.
As always, Chad. It was great.
So if you have any questions or comments or you'd like to hear yourself on air, you can call us on 978 DU-OGRES. That's 978-386-4737. You can also send us a text if you want.
We're coming up on episode 200. I'm not sure when we'll record it.
Yeah.
But if you want to be featured on episode 200, give us a call.
Yes.
Call
absolutely.
that number, leave us a message. Congratulate us for being so hilarious.
Yeah. Or
for being the best podcast you've ever heard.
The only podcast that you ever want to listen to.
Indeed.
You can also reach us on Twitter at Dueling Ogres, email us at duelingogres@gmail.com, or leave a comment on our Facebook page. Like these nice people, Brandon, go.
Our first comment is from the ever-present, fantastic Viscount Terry W. Irvin II, who says, good job editing, Brandon, even though Rem attempted to sabotage your first effort with the muting mic switch.
I thought I'd get away with it, too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Haven't seen the new Dr. Dolittle either, but maybe considered that the bagpipes might have been eaten and got stuck in his passage through the dragon's intestinal tract.
Nope, I refuse.
As opposed to being shoved up it.
I refuse, sir.
Good commentary on Chad's part 2. Jordan Lowe of Kapow the Pop Culture Podcast, who just celebrated their 200th episode.
Yeah,
actually. So they beat us to it.
Fucking beat us to it. Jeez.
But I guess quality over quantity is what I always say. He says there's
fucking savage, bro.
He says there's a new comic out that beat you to the idea about funding privatized space exploration in naughty ways.
I guess that's not the first thing that's beat us to something.
I also worked at Walden Books. I barely lasted a month before quitting, likely because of that same boss.
There you go.
And then he linked us a comic, which I didn't click on, so I'm not sure what it is, but it's called Money Shot.
No,
so
that's what he was talking about, the space.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I just didn't click on it to see what it was exactly.
Out of spite?
Yeah, out of spite. Like, you son of a bitch. With your 200 episodes walking around like you're the king of the castle.
Like you're cock of the walk.
And then finally, Bucky just said, yes, new content.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bucky, for that.
Yep. I'd also
for that enlightening comment.
Bucky, quick and to the point. I'd also like to give a shout out to our wonderful patrons who, officially, at least from the view of, for those of you who don't know, we use the podcast hosting site Libsyn.
Yeah.
That's who we release our content through. They handle the hosting of the content. I pay $20 a month for the podcast content, and we are, I don't mind being transparent about it, we're sitting at $17 per month from our patrons.
Hell yeah.
So it pretty much, at least that particular aspect of the podcast is almost paying for itself.
That's awesome.
So I really want to give a shout out to Chad, of course, who's sitting here and is quickly becoming a part of the podcast, which I enjoy very much. Bucky, the Diamond Man, Stephen Hines, Heavy No More, the Real Fat Tony. So I mean that's everybody. I think. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me double check.
I think it is, but yeah, double check. We don't want to forget nobody.
Nope. Yeah, I double-checked. That's everybody.
Okay.
So, yeah, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. Especially in this weird interim time where I'm trying to work to get a better job and get to a point where I can make decent money and then be able to take some of that money and live off of, but also throw it back into the podcast and do different things, get better equipment, et cetera, and so on, and just feed that need that I have to dive into the technical bullshittery that I love so much.
Well, you could go check out that actual Pirate Bay that Brandon mentioned.
Yeah, it sounds like they have some really good stuff.
They might have some mercenary work for you. You never know.
That would be cool. Yeah, for sure. But yes, thank you so much to their patrons. And also, Chad wanted to get in a shout out as well.
Yeah, I mentioned this at the outset of the recording about a friend of mine who can go on forever on the subject of British and other European royalty.
Uh-huh.
Her website is rhydnaratheviking.com, RHYDNARA, theviking.com. No spaces or any special characters between the words. But there you can read her chronicles of European rulers' genealogy, like the wacky adventures of Charles I, the curious case of Catherine Carey, and Henry VIII was a narcissistic sociopath.
So are those the actual naming conventions?
Those are the names of some of her
That's wonderful.
Things.
That's wonderful.
And
I love that so much.
It's been very fun to keep abreast of her writings when she publishes, and they're very sarcastic, salty, and just general fun.
That's awesome. Speaking of writing, that's a good segue, Chad. It's like you set me up for this. Make sure to subscribe on our website, duelingogres.com, for new shows and articles pertaining to some of your favorite geek news. We're also always looking for people who just want to write and put it out there. If you have a geeky article that you want to write about, I don't care if it's, nerd fandom. I don't care if it's classical British history. I do try to shy away from the political stuff just because, I mean, by and large, we are not a political website. I can always set up a political website separately from it if we ever decide to go into having a political podcast or something. But
yeah.
I know Brandon would like to.
I would, but I feel like I know just enough to be dangerous.
Right.
The more I learn about politics, the more I realize I know very little.
Yeah. You just have opinions.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And sometimes those opinions can get muddled behind just getting stuck on the bandwagon.
I don't know. I don't think I'm a bandwagon rider.
Not you specifically. I'm just saying people in general.
How dare you?
You specifically jump on all the bandwagons.
What'd you say? I was jumping on a bandwagon. I didn't hear you.
But yeah, if you have any interest in writing any kind of content, it doesn't even have to be good. I mean, I'm a great editor. I can make you sound really, really intelligent if you think your writing is poor.
Yeah, he can do it.
And I can also tell you that your writing isn't as bad as you think.
Mm-hmm. And he will. He'll tell you that as well.
And I will also tell you if your writing is as bad as you think. But don't let that discourage you.
Yeah.
I'll be very friendly about it.
So how do they contact us if they want to do that?
You can just go ahead and send us an email at duelingogres@gmail.com. It's kind of the catch-all email if you want to do that. I do have specific ones set up, like bloggers@duelingogres.com, if you want to send a specific email to that, if you're interested. If you're really interested, you can send an email over to bloggers@duelingogres.com. And I'll get that, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at what you want to put out.
Yeah.
And finally, be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or iHeartRadio or Spotify, or find us on RedTube. Radio Public. Or Radio Public, or anywhere else you can find a podcast. I mean, we're literally everywhere. Leave reviews. Give us stars.
Yeah.
Especially on the iTunes. It helps to boost us higher on the Cool Kids list.
Yeah, it really helps
Yep.
for people to see us.
So until next week, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt.
And your tusks sharp.
Good night. Nipples.
You did it.
I did it. I said nipples.
You said you weren't going to do it.
But I did it. That's classic Rem.
Why are you tweaking your nipples while you say that?
Because that's the whole point. Now I am.
Yeah, now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is. You made this happen, Brandon.
This was all you.
This was all you.
It's got to be a D tier mutant ability at best. I'm pretty sure you're never leaving the X mansion.
That's fair.
You're stuck in the boiler room. Take the AV cart from the danger room to the other instructors.
Yep. Everybody's unmuted and good to go.
Do you have the right microphone this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think I'm sitting like this all awkwardly? It's going to be really hard to talk to you. I'm going to have to
Just don't talk to me. Just pretend I'm not here.
I know what he should do.
like every day.
I know what he should do.
Take his shirt off.
Well,
Aside
I mean, that's further down on the list, but
Yeah.
it's still on the list. You know those rigs for a guitarist to also have a harmonica?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
We could jerry rig that somehow to hold his microphone. So you could
I just need to
mount
get
it
another
to
one of
his-
these.
you just like bolt it into his clavicle and just have it right there in front of his face. So
It'd
you
be
can
like
turn
a
and talk
weird
to
mix
us.
of Frankenstein and Bob Dylan.
I like this.
Oh, ogres, welcome. I'm Bob Dylan. This is my co-host, Brandon Full.
Brandon Fool.
There's a voice that hasn't been on this podcast yet.
Bob Dylan. What do you mean, my goof ups? I'm practically perfect in every way. I'm Mary Poppins of the fucking podcast world.
Who am I?
I was trying to see
Yeah.
how long that pause.
You're the
Dead silence.
You're the grandpa. I love to laugh loud and long and clear. I mean, I could have made you Dick Van Dyke, but I felt like that was low hanging fruit.
That's who I was hoping you were going to say was Dick Van Dyke.
I know.
Because everybody knows that we fuck. Mary Poppins definitely was having sex with Dick Van Dyke at some point. It's pretty clear in the movie.
Okay. I need a word.
Whistle-controlled arrow.
Damn, I even had a word the other day. I'm like, I'm going to use this word on podcast. No, it's not in the head.
Damn it,
Not
Chad.
anymore.
Why do you disappoint me at every turn?
God, and I left the cheese at home, too.
I thought that Brandon was my biggest disappointment.
What was that?
Now he's my second.
Yeah, Chad.
Yeah, Chad.
I'm moving my
Come on,
way.
Brandon. Come on, Brandon. Get on my side.
I'm on your lap now.
Everybody's shitting on Chad. Do it all nasty.
There's a new trailer for Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. That's ridiculous. The movie's been out for like 2 weeks now.
Well, that's what happens when you freak out and rename your movie because you think that nobody's going to see it if it doesn't have Harley Quinn's name plastered on it.
I feel like everybody knew. Like,
Well,
she
that's
featured
sort
pretty
of-
heavily in the...
Right, but when it was like they had a freak out the week before they released it and retitled the movie,
Yeah.
or that was like during their first week or something.
It was during
something
the first
stupid.
week.
yeah.
Yeah, like, if you can't figure it out,
Right, yeah. For sure.
yeah.
Like, nobody is following it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the worst around. No one's ever gonna get you down.
You're the best around. Mhm.
I like it.
Good times, Brandon. Good times.
Whenever I get rich, I'm going to hire a vocal coach to teach me how to sing.
Okay.
I'd like to learn how to sing. I'd like to be able to sing well,
Yeah.
to project.
It's mostly just spinning your hair.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
No. I assume from the diaphragm.
Well, part of it, yeah. But when you sing, spinning your hair is you make sure that the back of your throat is kind of cavernous. So
I've
the
heard
air,
this before.
so the air kind of hits and then circles in the back. Yeah, similar to that. Yeah. Oh, you got really open up your throat. Oh, now you're still pushing. You're still pushing your tongue back toward the back. Let it forward a little bit. Oh. You don't want to, that's extreme, but that's kind of, yeah. Unless you want to sing like Kermit, then you can do that. Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near?
Why haven't you had him as a guest on before?
Who, Kermit?
Yeah.
Because Miss Piggy's always holding his balls. Holding his little froggy balls. Just holding them real tight. Oh, Kermit.
On the list of subjects I didn't think I was going to talk about today.
Kermit's balls.
I definitely wasn't thinking of that one.
Yeah, seriously. When I woke up this morning, I did not think I was going to get hard to Kermit the Frog. And yet,
I was proven wrong. Delightfully wrong. Why do I always forget it?
Probably any other place you can find a podcast.
God damn it. Every time. Like, it's always right there. And then when I try to pull it out of my mouth, it goes away. I keep wanting to call it red something, and it's not that.
Red Tube?
Yeah.